Oh, man. Dude, I love this every single time. And
me too.
I love swapping over from the theme music to Your Beautiful Face, Joe. How's it been, brother? Another week.
Oh, thank you very much for your compliment, but I think you are a good liar.
That's what my mother told me. I guess she wasn't lying either. You know, she was telling the truth.
Yeah.
I did my best, right? I don't know. You know, part of me says, you know, if honesty is the best policy, then by default, dishonesty is the second best policy, right? I guess I don't, you know, by default. Is that not, am I wrong? Am I wrong, Joe?
I want to ask you why, but let's leave that for a little bit later. You know, one thing that I've been trying to practice over the last few years is if you don't have something good to say, don't say anything.
I love that. I love that.
So, yeah, I also like to compliment people when, like, they don't have to deserve, right, a compliment.
Oh, dude,
it's always
no.
nice just to say good things, spread good vibes. It brings you some good energy as well.
I agree, man. I think that, like, you know, I made that joke about dishonesty, but I also have another saying. It's hugs are free. And, you know, and even that, like, the concept, it doesn't have to be a physical hug, but just good vibes, right? I've heard stories of leaders that have one of their, you know, team members approach them years after the fact, after they were on teams together, and they'll say, hey, you don't realize this, but when you were the CIO and you gave that speech right before you transitioned to your new role, it was just incredibly inspiring. Like, it kind of motivated me. And I asked the question during that conversation, and what really stood out is how you answered it to me. You made it sound like you were talking right to me, and you gave me a compliment about something I'd said, and it just stood with them. And the funny thing about the leader is they won't even recall the compliments. They won't recall the conversation. It was just something that they naturally did. They shared a good thought with somebody, but it had such a positive impact that it could change somebody's perception. So I agree. Why not? I think there's plenty of, if you want some trash talk, go to the internet, right? There's plenty of that out there. So I don't.
Yeah, social media has a plethora of, trash.
Yes.
You don't have to search so much to find some really weird things to see. So that's why I'm out of most of social media on LinkedIn. But yeah, definitely talking good things is always a better choice.
Yeah, no, I believe it. Right, you catch more bears with
And,
honey.
and
They
staying
say.
away from people that just say shit.
Oh, dude. Hey, so there's so
It's
much truth to
contagious.
that. Oh yeah, there's so much truth to that, dude. There's literally scientific studies that say you regress to a general personality or a range of personalities to that of your friends or the people that you hang out with. And that has to do with your socioeconomic status, you know, what kind of hobbies you have. So yeah, dude, if you can get in that mindset really quick if you're around people too. Sometimes you gotta. I think we talked about this maybe on
Yeah.
another episode. Like you gotta get back in the back seat sometime. Tell
Yeah,
your
one of the first episodes. Yeah, I remember that too. Yeah, friends are good most of the times, but they can drag you to some, some ghettos,
yeah, it's
and
true.
you have to be very careful and watch your steps. Some, but sometimes I think it's hard to see because you are so immersed on
Yeah,
that
when you're
reality.
in it, when you're in it.
Because let's say I don't know how it is in the U.S., but back in Brazil, people are born in very impoverished neighborhoods. What they know is just that reality.
That's
So
it.
it's extremely difficult to get out of that because they don't know anything aside from that. So what they dream about is sometimes getting inside a gang.
Yeah, being the head guy. You know, making
Exactly.
it.
They see them with jewelry, with cars, with women, and they
Yep.
just want to be a part of it. So it's hard to break the cycle.
Dude, I think
It's a
that's
vicious cycle.
yeah, it is, right? Especially when you don't have opportunities, right? When you're not given opportunities or that is your opportunity. I mean, what do you do? And when you're in those situations too, it's even more positive. I mean, it's even more important. I got a little ahead of myself. It's even more important that you have positivity in your life, right? That you find people who, like you're saying, have that positive light, right? Because if you can kind of block out the noise or the distractions and focus on that good aspect, I think that the value pays off. But it's the same. I mean, it's weird the parallelisms between even royal poor countryside Kansas, where I grew up with, in the town in where there are people who just don't have any great ambitions of doing anything with their life, right? They don't want to go be a big corporate worker or, work in that kind of environment. They want to just have a simple life, living out there. And it's not that it's necessarily as bad as going a bad route, right? Like gang and violence or criminal mischievousness. But at the same aspect, if that's just sort of your passion is just to go off and live in the woods, how much different is that? It might be controversial. How much difference is that than going and going for it to be somebody and something, even if it's negative?
Yeah. I was thinking while you were talking, because when I grew up, I had no internet, I had no computer, I had no friends that were successful in a way that in the standards that we know today, right? So successful as having a job in a 500 whatever big company, multinational or executive or whatever.
Oh, I got you. Yeah.
We were very blue collar jobs, and being successful for us was to have a job, stable job in whatever factory we could find or something like that. So I myself, I didn't have dreams to become a system analyst or to become a RPA developer or whatever, or to become a developer in the first place, or to do a college degree, to have a college degree. So that happened later in my life by luck. I met some people that helped me to get on the trail, but I didn't dream about doing anything other than just working in blue collar jobs for 20 years of my life. Right.
I think that it's very telling that you were able to even have that ambition, but still, still be able to. I got a ringing in my ear. Still be able to get to where you are in the technical space now, right? I think that especially if you think about our age, right? It's very easy for us to have never. We were right at the edge of it to where we could have just being a blue collar worker would have been still okay, right? It's not that it's not still okay, but completely natural, and it's almost unnatural to come out, kind of hop on the new stuff and get into technology, right? It's like the risky thing, even though everybody's telling you to do it. It's not the norm, right? It's not the norm.
Yeah.
For our time.
One of the most risky decisions that I've ever made in my life. I was 19, I believe. And remember when we were talking a few episodes ago that I told you the story about the decision that I had to go to the IT job and to
Impact. It's gonna be in the book.
So that one, let me just rethink, because that this at some point after I got that training, so the training didn't tell you the whole story. The training was 4 months, right? But at the 3 months mark, there was a test, and they would continue with only 3. So out of the 10, 12 that started, only 3 would be receiving a salary to be on the training.
Yeah, okay, so, it's very, I like this.
Last month was a stretch that anybody could try, but I didn't pass the test. So the last month, I wouldn't get any money, right? So they told me, you are more than welcome to try, right? But we are not paying you for this extra month.
Yeah.
If you do well, like, you can get the job afterwards.
Hey.
So and I was screwed, man. I didn't have any money. I didn't have anything. I didn't have any leverage. So 1 month without my paycheck would make a huge difference. So I had to decide, should I stretch a little bit more, ask some help from my father, or get some money from someone else, or just give up and go back to my blue collar job and whatever that is.
So crazy.
And and I had a girlfriend at that time, not my wife, was my previous girlfriend. And she said, no, go ahead, keep pushing, do whatever it takes. My family also pushed me to that decision. And then I just pushed, man. And I was studying a lot already, but for the whole month, from 8 to 10 p.m., 8 a.m. to 10 p.m., I would just get my computer and do all the things that I could, man.
Yeah.
And I was in partnership with another friend of mine. We are still friends. We haven't talked for a little while, but we are still friends. So we would go to each other's place, work all day long, 7 days a week for the whole month. And I got the job. After the month, I got the job. And that's why I'm here today.
Yeah, right? It's so crazy. It's such a thin line, right? Where like the trajectory could have been so different, right? I don't like I know I've talked a little bit about it. I haven't shared like my whole story too, right? About how right before my transition from the military, like the moment I got out to like the time till I got into RPA. But half of the story I'm going to save for another episode. But more or less, I completely ran out of money, right? I completely ran out of all my savings and maxed out my credit cards trying to find a job, right? Trying to find a job. And without getting too much into that story again, I'll save that for another time. But I finally got a gig, right? I finally got a role. And during this time, it took me forever. Like you can imagine, like 10 years of savings just like gone. And so what happened is that I started working for a company finally, right before when everything was crazy. I had a very similar conversation with my significant other, and that's why I want to save the whole story. But what happened was is I got a job for a company, and I was working there for a little under like 5 or 6 months, right? Not even long enough to build my savings back up. And I wasn't making, I think I was making 45, 55K a year or something, right? I was making more in the Army than I did at this point. So it's still decent money, but I was only there for like 5 or 6 months, and the company filed for bankruptcy. And so they ended up like shutting down the company, right? I think they kept it up for a little bit, but I was sort of at the management level, getting that much. I was considered management, and they cut me first. Like I was the first to go. And I remember being devastated, and I thought like, dude, it took me so long to get this job, you know? Like, I don't want to, again, I'm not going to tell a story, but I'll give you a number, over 1,000 applications over a year, right? Just watching my savings go down, paying for rent and bills, car payment, month and month and month. And I was then didn't have a chance to build any of it up, you know, and more or less kind of keep getting caught back up on my debt because I'd missed some payments and stuff too. So I ended up getting fired from this job, and it wasn't an RPA. It wasn't an RPA. I was managing like a department, and there was some tech to it, but it wasn't RPA. It was some automation, but not RPA. Be real with this. So I'm sitting there. I remember walking. Like, it was weird where the corporate headquarters was and like the office that I worked in, but I ended up like getting a ride there. And then I got into that meeting, found out that I'd been let go, and like they offered me a ride, and I was like, no, I'll just walk a couple blocks to get to my car. And I'm just thinking like, dude, thinking all these thoughts, like, what the hell? Feeling like a failure, like, even though it was the company that like went out of business, but having all these negative thoughts and negative doubts. But the most was the fear of like not having any money again. Right. And so like the very first day I was out of work, even though I still hadn't managed to get into IT or any of the tech sector, saw a job at USAA for a position on their RPA team as an analyst. Mm-hmm. And the thing is it wasn't at this time, 2012, 2013, it wasn't called RPA yet. So it was like a process engineering for automation, a BPO, like it was connected to their BPO team. And so I ended up just the only reason I was able to get that opportunity is because the company that I was with went out of business and I got fired, right? Or got let go. Mm-hmm. And so I would have never even been in a position to get myself on the RPA team had that business stayed in business and I was just working there, right? I could have probably been there for 3 or 4 more years, and then when I lost that gig, just got some other gig not even related to RPA, but just the timing of it allowed me to get an opportunity to join an RPA team 10 years before it was even cool to be on RPA, right? So in certain ways, right, sometimes it's a lot of I believe in this, right? A lot of our own success isn't even up to us, right? It's just that you were in the right spot at the right time, or you had the safety net in your case to be able to support you and say, hey, dude, don't stop till you get it. And and that in another part of your life, you might have not had that opportunity. And so some of our successes, even though we like to pat ourselves on the back, I think sometimes a lot of our successes aren't even our, necessarily our own design.
Yeah, no, of course I myself, man, I actually think that most of my success earlier in my career was true lucky. Mm-hmm. Right, true luck. If I tell you that my whole professional story, like there's some moments of good laughs, because when I got started, I didn't even know what a computer was. Like, not professionally speaking, right? When I went to college the first time, I didn't even have a computer. I started 4 or 5 majors. So it took me, honestly speaking, from 2000, let me see, I don't know, 7, 8 years to finish, because I started working with 10 years. When I was right. So when I finished my, what do you call here, high school, I didn't have any plan to do college or whatever, high degree. Yeah. So just wanted to work. So when I when I went to the college the first time, I was already 19 or 20, something like that. And I kept jumping because I had to work, right? I had to balance between my working life and my academic life. So it was pretty hard, and I was moving from city to city. So I started 4 different universities.
Mm-hmm.
It took me 7, 8 years to finish, and then I landed my first job, the start that I told you the other day.
Yeah.
And from there on, I had some friends that would refer me, and uh, I applied to a few jobs that I got lucky, and things just got improving, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I had a very short sight for long, long years. I was even writing this week on LinkedIn. I don't know if you saw, because I always I would learn something, let's say C++,
Yeah.
and I would thought, man, I'm done, right? I don't need to know anything.
I'm there. I'm good. I'm golden forever.
Yeah, I want to retire as C++ developer. I would work. I was working on a bank. I would go to work wearing the worst T-shirt that I ever had.
You're like, I'm
all
made
ripped
man.
off,
I'm a made man. I'm cool.
Do you know? Have you seen this picture? It's a meme. There is a picture of several people in suits and well dressed, and there is a guy with shorts and T-shirt and a flip flop, and then it says, "Guess who's the developer?"
I haven't seen that, but I'm surprised I haven't seen that. That's funny.
So
That's classic.
I used to be that guy. I used to be the developer.
That's too good.
That's why I say.
Of a C sharp. He's like, I'm golden.
Yeah, I had a lot of lucky, in early days. After a while, after I met my wife, she was always pushing me. No, you have to improve yourself. You have to work on your communication skills. You have to dress better, right?
Yeah. My wife definitely improved my wardrobe 1,000%. I definitely would still look like a homeless college kid, even if I was allowed to wear what I wanted to wear. But
my wardrobe from 10 years ago would probably serve as, some cloth to clean up the floor.
Yeah, right. Oh yeah, my wife has this running joke, right? She does. She has this thing where there's this shirt that I have. It's kind of a speckled brown shirt, as Jimi Hendrix playing the guitar on the front of it, and she always makes this joke about that T-shirt. And she says, every time you wear that T-shirt, you look like you smell bad. It's just like this shirt is almost the color of it doesn't look like dirty or like stained. It isn't like like old white T-shirts. You wash them and then all of a sudden they're yellow or brown or dingy. But like she always makes that joke. So no, I tell you what though, if you're the kind of person who is learning about agentic process automation right now and AI, you can wear those T-shirts. You can wear those T-shirts to work. Why? Still, because you're still a made man. You've got a decade in front of you to be able to look and dress however you want, because people are going to pay you if you can leverage this technology. Did you see my my comment on your post about the AI with dude?
Well, So let's get the full picture here, right?
Yes,
because
I have
folks
a
that
couple
are watching,
questions,
or listening on the Spotify may not know, but I posted yesterday or the day before on LinkedIn something that I read a few days ago, which is roughly, paraphrasing is, have the AI reached its peak? So this guy, Matthew Renz, I think I already talking about him on the podcast. He's a AI enthusiast, and he does a a phenomenal job in advocating, for AI. And his post, I'm not gonna spoil, but he brings different perspectives regarding. Yeah, some folks may believe that we have reached, and one of the reasons I found that so interesting. One of the reasons he brings up is lack of energy, of power to run the computers behind the AI, right? And I found that so amazing, because I've never thought, oh my God, of course there are computers running. They need energy, right?
Yeah.
So that's just one of the reasons. But of course, there are other reasons why some may believe that no, have not reached its peak. And for me, I, I don't know. Like, I don't have enough knowledge to tell if it has or not.
Yeah.
What I know is there's so many people, so many companies, so many places to even get started with AI that
Yeah.
even if it has reached its peak, it's going to last for long, long years until those folks like banks can
Oh.
fully leverage AI.
Bro.
But you have a different
yeah.
opinion. Tell me more.
No, you're spot on, right? And capability of AI and adoption of AI, two totally different things. But here's the problem. Here's the problem, Joe. And this is what organizations, if you're an executive, you have ambitions of being an executive at an organization. Let me put you on some information, right? And right now, what's happening with LLMs? I know everybody hears the word GPT, right? And there's people probably know what it stands for in regards to LLM more than what I'm about to speak of. But the reason that this technology is that you need to start understanding it now and start figuring out how to leverage it is because it's a different type of GPT. It's a general purpose technology. So if you're not familiar with what that term is, let me just kind of explain it to you in a couple of situations. It's technology that's universally adopted and changes drastically what humanity's doing, right? An example is when we went from steam to electricity, when we went from normal business models to the internet, and we had connectivity, and to cell phones. So imagine being a corporation or being leaders and executives in these positions and saying, hey, you know what? Electricity sounds good, but we're just going to skip this one. We don't need electricity to run our business. That's literally what you're doing right now. If you're saying GPT or LLMs or agentic process automation is, we'll catch the next one. You'll be decades behind, right? And that's what's going to happen. But to answer your question, right? Can LLMs themselves do much more? I think you're probably seeing the max coolness of what an LLM can do, but that's not the point, right? The point is when you start specializing these general agents and you get them together, the power of what those can do is phenomenal, and those will get better, right? But there'll need to be systems, right? There needs to be a methodology, and here's a key indicator. Go to YouTube, look up and search Nvidia and Accenture. They just announced a partnership where they're both investing in this partnership, and the entire point is to train 50,000 employees in Accenture on how to leverage and deploy agents in organizations. And the only reason, even though Nvidia has the hardware, they have these graphics cards that run all AI and all this kind of stuff. But if you've been listening to their vision of the future, it's agentic. And they're building it, right? They're going to take Accenture's capabilities and knowledge of businesses' operating models, and they're going to build these agent frameworks. You can look at NVIDIA now, and they already have, we're going to have this bot for your QA, and this bot, it's happening, right? And so, and it's a partnership that these guys have figured out. And it's going to be, and even Accenture, right? They're creating something called the Agent Foundry. And so they're going to, and even if, depending on if people won't buy it, like you said, because of adoption, Accenture's got the relationship. Somebody's going to try it. Somebody's going to try it out. And like we've discussed in our previous podcasts, is if you got engineers, they're going to build till you tell them no, right? And if they can build these cool agents, right? And I'm going to make a prediction here. I just made it a little bit earlier on LinkedIn. I think that this will fundamentally change how business models are run, right? I think you'll see the death of ERP. You understand SAP and Oracle and these billion-dollar companies, right? If I give you all of the data that you need, the right data that you need, at the moment you need it, and I can do all of this at a tenth of the cost of running your SAP, and I can do it with agents and automation, it's possible. We can do that.
Well,
that's my prediction.
No, I worked a lot with ERPs.
Yeah.
So I don't, not with SAP, but Oracle and some others.
Yep.
My first job was building ERPs back in
Yeah.
Brazil.
Yeah.
So I do have some experience there. So when you say that AI can replace an ERP,
Not AI.
that's challenge.
Yeah. Yeah. Not AI, but
AI as a general term.
yes. Yes. Yes.
But
So
because
yeah, go ahead.
my see this again, my on the spot opinion, right? I haven't thought about that. That's the coolest thing about this show.
Yep.
But I would say they can complement each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's get an ERP, one very common functionality.
Yes.
Foundation like items. Let's get the replenishment. Right? So I have my stock of my inventory.
Yes.
I want to buy whenever I need it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So AI or LLMs or whatever can, of course, and I believe they might be doing already, but can help on that. But that's just one thing, right? The ERP as a whole has so many functionalities and capabilities. I don't know how other systems could replace that.
Mm-hmm. No, I love where you're going, right? And I love your understanding. And I think that post this podcast, you'll probably ponder on this more. But instead of going global, let's stay in the lane that you were in, just with item replenishment, right? What we do with RPA is take this ERP system and the work that kind of bulges out, and then we put bots on it to kind of handle these transactions, right? But people like you who build these ERP systems or customize them, you understand what's the business flow, right? You had to get requirements. You understand the functionality of what this thing is doing. Yeah. But at the end of the day, it's a business process. Your ERP system's just a GUI that interacts with the data that you have for replenishment, and it's pieces of paper or a fax or an email, which UiPath can easily take and digest. And if I were to put not SAP on the back end, but I were to put a finance agent, who the only thing it does is it knows all the customers in my customer list. And then I have a material agent. The only thing this LLM knows is all of the materials I have come in and out of my business. If I'm able to put these systems together, is there really a need for the ERP layer itself? But it's got to be accurate. And I'm not saying it's here tomorrow, but I'm saying it's going to be here. That's my prediction.
Just as we were talking, and I started rethinking what I just said a few seconds ago.
But you said it live. That was your initial thought.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. So when you first said, let's put AI generically speaking, but I know it's not just AI, but AI can replace an ERP system. My first thought was, no, it cannot.
Yeah.
But as you start to break it down in smaller pieces, right, it makes sense. Let's go back to the replenishment.
Yep. Yeah.
And replenishment is not, of course, it's complex, but in simple terms, you have a beer.
Yep.
Right. You have your inventory, and you want to have a certain number of beers in your inventory. Whenever it goes below that, you buy more.
Mm-hmm.
And AI can easily do that. better than a person, a buyer.
Yeah.
A person responsible for buying. This ERP system, they already have automatic replenishments, but still there are a lot of people responsible for buying stuff for these companies, right? So what I'm saying is, and then you start to see the other features, and if you're breaking down in smaller chunks,
it could be. I'm telling you. And it's funny because I'll share something with you, and I'll probably put it on the YouTube video too, but you can even take a look at the most recent SAP sort of a brief, if you will, where they talked about the future of SAP and S/4HANA in the cloud. And they have this new AI LLM called Joule that can sort of do some of this stuff, right? But I think that we're at this interesting tipping point where you don't have to start and try to put agents everywhere over your business. You can start in a function like finance or replenishment or wherever you think would be the best value, and you can create a system of agents that support that function. And what I think you'll see is all sorts of organizations that pop up. I think that I've seen some people already start saying this will be a thing, but it's like these LLMs or these agents will essentially sort of be like the operating system, right? You'll have them connected and be talking to them, but they're like in the back end, they'll be handing off work to other agents that you won't even see, right? Like the QA agent that's checking the thing, or the coder agent that's building the app. I think that this stuff will be, I got on a tangent there, but what I wanted to actually state was I think that this will be a profound opportunity for small businesses and for people to build businesses around helping small and medium-sized businesses, right? Because not every organization can afford Oracle. And not every organization can hire the developers to create some code to build it. Yeah. But if I can have a GPT that can at least build a basic application, there's all sorts of stuff that I can do with very limited people. And then so I can build something for customers that don't have a lot of money, and I can kind of get them a really cheap solution to read some documents and give you some feedback on who you should be sending emails to or whatever. I think that's a very interesting time.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I have been thinking quite a lot, for long years in building my own business.
Yep.
I have this, but I think I am still too afraid of, putting myself out there. It's so comfortable having monthly, paychecks in your bank account. And when you have family, things just got,
complicated. Yeah.
There's too much more at stake.
Yeah.
So, but I agree with you. This new era of AI is bringing a lot of opportunities, and you don't have to be a big tech company to make some money.
Absolutely.
You can be like garage shop,
yes,
shop, just building
1,000%.
some very specific tool.
Exactly.
You just have to have the expertise, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And it's the hard thing, though. That's why I am such a proponent for this space that we're in, right? I mentioned it in a correlated concept that we previously spoke on, but just the ability for automation experts or practitioners to understand what's happening in a business, right? What's happening in certain areas helps you in the entrepreneurial aspect of what a business needs to run at a different scale, depending on what orgs you work with. And that's the same. I mean, even if you didn't go to automation, right? Let's just say you just get your whole career you worked with Oracle, right? At a certain point, you're going to understand enough about what's happening with Oracle to be able to now leverage AI and agents to build a business to service that part of the organization. Say, hey, I did this build and I know for 5-10 customers that this part always sucked. It didn't do anything. I can just build this universal model, attach it to this, and build a business. Now is the time, right? Find a couple of guys that you're in college with, and just enough about a certain aspect or a case of cybersecurity, different concepts, and on your weekend start getting into UiPath or another low code, no code AI agentic like Llama, Crew AI, something like that, and start understanding and building stuff, right? And look for business problems or just universal problems. And I think that you could you're well on your way and you can build a business. You don't need to go service every company in your city. You don't need to be in New York City or LA or Houston or even San Antonio. You could be in a town that's got 10,000 people, have a couple small businesses, and help out these businesses with these simple solutions, right? I think there's huge opportunities there. It's easy to be comfortable, right, Joe? I totally get it. Nobody wants to. I've been there. I'll tell you. I literally went with Joel as a co-founder. I went months, Joe, not a week or 2 months without a paycheck, not getting paid, not a dollar, bills coming in, interest accruing, no money. So, you know, there's the fear of that, right? But we kept growing. We kept hiring people and, you know, but, you know, certain situations, right? It's just like, dude, how bad do you want it? How, you know, what is it worth? What kind of risk can you absorb? Luckily, I had a spouse, you know, that, you know, she's, she won't get mad at me saying this because we joke about it, but she's like a sugar mama. She makes sure I get to spend my money on my crap and I don't have to spend too much on bills. And I was lucky then, though. I was at an opportunity where I could leverage, you know, her working to keep the lights on and me not getting paid. It was a dick move. Not to pay your employees, but if you're a founder and an executive and you got other people who, like you said, whose livelihood is on the line, they don't have support. Like, what's the right move, right? I'll 101 out of 99 times I'll say take my check and give it to them, right? It's just the thing to do. But so I feel you, dude. It's not an easy road. Because you could be like that. It's fearful, but sometimes the other side, it's worth it.
Well, I definitely believe it's worth it. No doubt about that. And I know I have the skill. Maybe the skills I would have to learn, but I have the willpower to do that. But well, as the time goes by, the risk increases. The time to recover decreases.
Oh, that's the big thing too, right? Yeah.
I heard one person saying a long time ago that the good time to risk is when you are younger, right? And that's true.
Yeah. Recovery is a thing.
You don't have family, you don't have kids, you don't have even a dog to feed. So if you break, you just let's restart.
Yeah.
You have your whole life to recover. But as the time goes by, that just becomes exponentially more difficult.
Yeah, you don't
but
have the time to make it up.
It's not impossible, right?
No,
it's not impossible. So many people. I heard that KFC, got KFC done when he was around 60s. Oh, hold on a second. My laptop is running out of battery.
Oh no! I'll keep him engaged, Joe. And thank you to Russ for stopping by. Another AI genius. I hope that he gets to hear or he heard my prediction about ERPs dying. He'll be one of the guys. I honestly believe people like Russ will be the people that build the ERPs of the future, build these different types of agentic frameworks. Oh man, he totally got booted off. He got booted off and out of the chat. I don't think he realized how low his battery was. And so while he's watching me and connecting his laptop and rebooting it, almost closed out of it. While he's doing that, I also had a situation where I met a gentleman who was a car dealer, right? He sold car salesman. Wasn't a car dealer. Well, at least I'm not sure if that was his background. But the scenario was I was in with a friend, an executive at the time, and he was looking to buy a new car. And I noticed in this guy's office, and this was a big car dealership, like hundreds and hundreds of cars on the lot. And what happened was I'm sitting in there while my friend's talking to him on the deal, and I can't help but notice all of these first place, salesman of the quarter, salesman of the year, salesman of the state awards. And I'm thinking bro, this is a nice car dealership. So, this guy must be doing all right. And did he leave again? He popped up and he disappeared. He's tricking me now. But anyway, he had all these awards. And so I just kind of struck up a conversation. I was like, dude, it looks like you're the guy, you're him when it comes to selling cars and stuff. And he mentioned, yeah, dude, I've been pretty good. And I was trying to find a way to ask him more or less how much he'd made over the years. I was just curious. I'm like, dude, thinking the guy, is that successful at selling cars? I'm surprised. I think that's what I did. I think I mentioned to him, I'm surprised as somebody this good selling cars. I'm surprised you didn't, start a car dealership yourself. And he said that was never his goal. It was never his goal. Hey, Joe, he's back. He keeps tricking me. I see you like pop in and pop it out. And
I for some reason I didn't plug in on the outlet, and as soon as the message popped up, I ran, but I wasn't fast enough.
Okay, give me 1 second. I got to refresh your thing. No, you're good, dude. You are good. I wonder if it didn't. Hopefully, it didn't change the. Because now I don't see you in the thing. So give me 1 second. Maybe I'll have to re. Did you use a different computer, or is it the same one?
Same computer.
Give me 1 second. Oh yeah, your other one's still in here. It's froze, so you have a new link. Let me get a new link. You're like, hold. You're still in the chat. You're still in there. The other one. Okay, 1 second. Let's see if you. There you go. He's back. So I'm going to finish my story, Joe. Did you hear any of it at all? Playing at all?
Hello.
Did you hear the my car dealership story?
Car dealership.
Yeah, I was telling the chat. I was keeping the chat entertained while you were away. Oh. But it was similar to what you said about taking risks. And I met a car dealer, and it was clear that the guy was at the top of his game because he had about 100 different sales guys of the year, sales guys of the quarter trophies. And this was a big car dealership. And so I asked him, like, man, I'm surprised a guy like you didn't go into business for himself. And he said, I didn't because that was never the goal. And I said, oh, yeah? And he said, yeah, the goal was always to be incredibly successful so I could retire hella early. And so I'm thinking, like, okay, and the gentleman's he's not very young. So I'm thinking, like, I don't want to pry. Like, I mean, I feel like, so I'm missing something. So I just kind of looked at him, and he said, yeah, he's like, about 8 years ago, I retired, and I actually decided to like start a small business. And he said that his business partner swindled him out of like $8 million, and he lost his whole savings. And so he ended up having to go back to work and sell cars again. And it's not what he wanted to do. And I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe I asked. I didn't really ask directly, but I was like, man, because that's what happens. You go into small businesses, you got to be careful too, right? You could even be successful, but businesses, you can lose your money too starting a business.
Man, you reminded me one time I met a guy and he was using a necklace. Like, when you have some problems in your, oh my God, I don't know that in English. Anyway, I met this guy and he was wearing a necklace, but prosthetic
neck brace.
Yeah,
like the thing to support your neck.
Head.
Yeah, neck brace.
Yeah, he couldn't move his head, and I had to wear that once, like a few years ago. I almost broke my back.
Oh man!
Yeah.
Told you shouldn't be doing backflips.
Yeah, no, I was playing soccer and I fractured one of some
ouch
vertebrae. Yeah, almost got paralyzed. But then I met this guy and I was talking to him. He was wearing that thing on his neck, and I told him my story. And then I asked, "Oh, how long have you been wearing this? How long is it gonna take to take it off?" And the guy just said, "I will never take it off."
Oh man!
Oh my God! Why did I ask this?
Dude, I had a friend who did that. Like, we were back in high school, and it was a horrible thing. And my friend, his mother was just fine. But when people used to make some jokes or make some comment, he'd be like, "My mother's dead," and they'd be like, "Look at him." And I had another friend I had introduced, and he said that. And then my friend's response, which I would have would have been my response to the guy in the neck brace, I'd have been like, "Oh, you win some, you lose some." You can't. You think you're gonna be just ask a question, and sometimes you're just it comes off as a jerk, right? No,
yeah. I was trying to sympathize with the guy because I had to wear that, for a few months.
Yeah,
but
I think no, dude, I think that
go well.
It's good. The fact that you even asked, though, I was reading another article on social. I saw a person that I went to high school with or around that, and She suffers from a disorder that weakens certain, parts of the hip or the legs, and so she's in a wheelchair. And she made a very poignant share of information in regards to a young kid that she'd encountered, and the awkward thing is not even the kid's response, but she said was like the parents' response. Because, most people historically, they like, even my parents were similar. They're like, don't stare, don't point, don't look, don't say anything. But she says it's weird, like when, you take that kind of scenario and then you like have them ignore them. Like, it's weird. Like, they're weird being in the wheelchair. She's like, the appropriate thing would be just to ask, right? Don't like make it a deal. Like, it's fine to ask, hey, what's wrong? Especially if it's a little kid, don't teach them to like, act a certain way or hold their questions. And I mean, it's kind of like what you could have just kind of ignored the fact that he was in a neck brace and not said anything. Right. But I mean, it is, you probably learned, how to respond or maybe ask the question better next time, but it's still better than ignoring it. Right. Cause some people do have diseases, or some people do have, certain things that, are, you should know about.
Yeah. Well, the problem is I've always had this problem with, asking wrong questions many times, or even saying things that I shouldn't be saying.
Yeah.
So, but I improved myself over the years. My wife would get embarrassed many times when we were younger.
I love it.
The way that I found that I improved was because back in the day we would go out for something with some friends. Whenever we were heading back home, she would not yell at me, but she would say, "Oh my God, how could you say that, blah blah blah." She would just complain. And as the years went by, that reduced, right? Increased. So today we go out, we come back home. She doesn't say anything. So okay, no, today I'm better, because I had to learn to think before opening my mouth. That's the point.
I still haven't. You're gonna have to teach me that. I need to improve. The funny thing is for anyone listening, I will vouch that he's incredible now. He is extremely well behaved. He's not doing any backflips or soccer trips when he's out in public with his family. It'll be interesting to get him in Vegas and see what happens with the boys and the bots and the beers when they're flowing in the city that never sleeps.
There's a saying with what happens in Vegas is staying in Vegas, right? So I hope you don't share that.
Not until the book.
Actually, this time is going to be the opposite. What happens in Vegas will be shared with everybody, right?
That's so true. At least what we're doing anyway. Like everything we plan to do.
That's our goal, right? I can't wait, man. And it's almost there. We are October already in 3 weeks.
Yes.
3 weeks.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And we haven't planned anything so far. So
oh man, don't tell our viewers and listeners that, Joe, because they're not going to come back for season 2. You tell them we haven't planned yet. No, I'm kidding. No, he's right. He's just holding me accountable like a good friend should. So we need to get together. I know we have big plans, and I have more guests that we want to get back on the show. Some more new guests as well. So yeah, obviously, I think we're gonna have chats there. We're gonna align some other speakers. We're gonna save some of the content, so we're gonna share it all, but at our own discretion, right, and timing when it matters. And
by the way, the video you shared, the teaser for forward. So awesome, man. I'm telling you, you are on the wrong industry. You should be making movies, commercials, whatever that is related to production. You should be a producer, because you have to someone that's not in the industry, you have such a good taste with and skills to create such a good video, right? Yeah, I want to take it and try to improve it, right? I would love to use it for good for like us, right? I want to get some good, like do some material for us.
I think that there's opportunity there too. And I just love doing it, right? I think that we could make some pretty cool stuff, give our listeners and viewers some additional flavors and aspects, right? I think that there's something with video, and I'm trying to get good, Joe. So it means a lot. There you go. You even started our podcast talking about positive words, and look, it just comes natural. You know,
exactly.
It's then. Exactly. I feel it, dude. And I'm gonna keep driving. I love it, dude. I hope
it's honest, right?
Yeah,
and it's honest.
Yep.
So we don't have to push ourselves to say something that we don't mean, right?
Yep.
We just have to mean it.
Yeah.
And that's true. And when we do something that we love, that's the perfect word, because then we put it the best we can, right?
Yep.
We don't do just, okay, oh my God, I have to do this because people are expecting, or because I have to do for my paycheck or whatever. We do because we love.
Yep.
And that's what happens. Like with this podcast, very podcast, oh man, I just love so much to come here. Even when we have guests and I just listen, I love just to, sit here and watch you guys talking. Yeah, if I could, I would do that every day. To be honest.
Yeah, right. No doubt.
Of course, we have to learn things. We have to improve ourselves. But man, we are doing this because it's so good, so pleasant, right?
Yep.
And
I agree, dude. I have big plans for this. If it's in the stars, I know that we can get there, and we're just getting started. I feel like there's nothing but people around us lifting us up and giving us the thumbs up, like keep going, right? And so I can't wait to lean into this and make this something that's just like a part of people's life, right? It's something that they get up every week and they're interested in what Joe and Jeremy have to say about where tech's headed, right? And I think that we're going to refine this. It's going to become something of beauty. We just got to stick with it, put in that work, it doesn't have to be the 80-hour weeks like we did when we were young, Joe, but I think we'll get there.
Yeah, exactly. Have you ever worked 80 hours a week? Have you ever done that?
Yes. Yeah, both intentionally and then, putting in that kind of work, that didn't go anywhere. Sometimes I build weird stuff, right? I spent a chunk of my life coming up with business model around entertainment for AR and VR headsets. And I was interviewing companies across the globe. I didn't even have an LLC, and people were sending me. I was sending them RFPs, and they were sending me responses and quotes, and I was going around doing stuff. So even if I'm not doing 80 hours of work, yes, I've been there where I'll spend 40 at work, and then I'll be spend 40 on a side gig till I fall asleep. But not anymore. I'm still too old for that nonsense.
Yeah, I've done that in the past. I've done that. There was a time of good few years that I was working tech support. Not tech support. We was in the Oracle realm. So we were production support. We had to work on calls. We would get the system was quite shitty, man, to be honest. The integration, we were on the integration, so everything would break it in the integration. We would get in crisis call that would last for days. Sometimes weeks. So
those are the worst. Like the bridge, I've been on there, like days long bridge. It's like you get up, you log into the conference, and sometimes there's nobody talking. Sometimes there's like 20 people talking for days. Yeah, that's wild.
One funny thing, people in different places give different terms for the same thing.
Yeah.
Right. So one funny story, restarting a server, right? I had a very basic English, so I learned restart, right? So you restart your computer, restart your server.
Yeah.
And then I got to this company and it was bounce. People would bounce the server. I've never heard that before. And when I heard bounce the first time, I was in a call and, we had to bounce the server. So I picture in my mind something, a server jumping, No, that can't be it.
Bro, I gotta tell you one. Then I gotta tell you one more than for that. So, and this is my mentor. He'll probably kill me for this, but it's so funny.
Oh, but I haven't. Hold on.
No, go ahead. Oh, yeah, okay. I thought you finished. He's thinking to bounce the server. Sorry.
Yeah. So people were bouncing the server, and but what I want to say is, in the same place, we had a board that we haven't bounced the server for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. And the max we get were like 7 or 8 days, because we would get stuck, the production would stop, and okay, let's bounce.
Just
bounce
bounce
would
it.
fix. Yeah, so let's bounce.
It's been 7 days since our last bounce.
Exactly.
Everybody comes in and it's a 0. They're like, oh, really back to 0.
That was exactly the feeling. We would get in the morning. Okay, what about today? 0. Oh,
That's so crazy, man.
sorry, man. I cut you
Oh
off.
no,
Go
you
ahead.
didn't. No, I cut you off on accident. I didn't know that was a double joke. That's two funny parts. No, I had my mentor. Like we at this time I was building automation, but the team was the same part as like a BPO team. So there's like outsourcing and people offshore. But the thing is when you work with outsourcing companies, there's a lot of turnover, just like in customer service, right? So. Like we had to, since I was on the RPA team, part of their job was to give me all of there's hundreds of people on this team, were to give me the people that we needed to onboard, the new people, and then the people we have to offboard. And for some reason, my mentor, my boss at the time, he always called this, and I never thought of it because we always talked about other things in reports like this, but we'd call it like the dump. He like, hey, go grab a dump, grab the thing. And I remember we just got a new person on the team, and she was like a business analyst, but she'd worked in like customer service or somewhere. She came from the business operations side and joined as an analyst. And the first day he's sitting there, he's like, oh yeah, you can work with her and make sure you get her daily dump. And then bring the dump to me, and she like the look on her face. She's like, what a dump? And she's like, wait a minute. Like I can see it. Like to me, it didn't mean anything. I was like, what is she talking about? Like, yeah, just grab the dump. I'll get the dump from you later. And she's like, no, what do you mean by dump? What's the dump? And so I was like, oh, that's horrible. She's like, I thought you meant like dump. No.
If you want English jokes, like these mistakes that we do when we are learning, I have plenty of that. And I just heard one a few weeks ago. My wife actually shared with me this lady. She's in England, right? She's Brazilian. She's living in England, and she's working out in an office, and she made a spreadsheet, with some data. I don't know whatever the data that is, and she wanted to share with her boss. And she said, oh, do you want to see my sheets?
my sheets. That happens too.
And then
it happens.
The guy, my sheet. Do you want to see my sheet? I did for you.
Oh my God,
not
dude.
Exactly. But imagine, picture the scene that. Oh, do you want to see my shit?
Bro, that's so bad. Oh man, I feel like we got to get out of here, Joe. The beers are kicking in, and we're starting to devolve. We're like teenage boys making jokes about poops now. Like we got taking dumps and sheets. Check out my sheet, and then bring your dump back.
You got to inspect it. We say the fifth grade kicks off. These jokes in Brazil. We say the fifth grade jokes.
Yeah, right. The fifth grade jokes to end the show, Mo says. That's so true. I love it, man.
Yeah, man. But it's always good to laugh or just joke around.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have, if you wanna, I can share so many stories about English mistakes and funny moments.
So you do that. You write down one. I'll bring one next week. I have a funny joke about when I was learning another language as well. And when I tell you what I was walking around asking people for, you'll laugh your ass off too. It's very bad, very bad. So no, we definitely can. Yeah, we can do
so
that.
Let's make a commitment. Next week I will bring my best.
There you go.
Maybe one of the best.
One of them.
and then you bring yours. And
Yeah, I
we
got a
talk on the
good.
show.
I love it. Right, a good mentor once told me, always save your best one for the book, though. Right, so bring your second best one.
Your
Save the best one for the book.
Yeah, it's like Django Unchained. You know, I want to buy your second
Great
best,
movie.
not your best.
Yeah, right. I
Best
love Tarantino. So that's.
Oh,
that's
I love all his movies. And you know that he's going to make only 10 movies and then he's going to retire.
Yeah.
He already made 9.
Yeah.
So there's just one left.
Man, dude, I can't wait. I haven't went to the theater. I don't go to the theater much, but that would be one that I would definitely be in the theater for, right? Front row, not front row. I don't break my neck, but the best seat in the house for sure.
Yeah, those are so great movies. Unfortunately, my wife doesn't like, so I have to watch by myself. But Django, I already watched like
Great.
5 times, man.
Yeah.
It's just
Classic.
unbelievably good.
Hateful Eight.
Anyway.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Which one?
Hateful Eight.
Oh my God, so good.
Dude, I love that storyline.
All of them. All of them.
All right, down the list. Pulp Fiction, you see the influence there. No, I'm not going to tell them where that's going. We'll get there eventually. Joe, you and I together. Maybe the storyline will continue in Vegas.
Right, but you have to tell me. No, you don't have to tell me, but maybe just a hint. What is inside the orange box?
Your hint is I'll never tell. You'll find out in Vegas.
Tarantino says that he leaves that to the audience, right? Whatever the audience believes that's the truth, right?
Yeah.
So each person will have one truth about that section of the movie.
Very true.
Great. I love that, man. I love that. So you may use that one for you.
I think so. So he violated one cinematic rule, which is Chekhov's gun. And that's if you make something that big a part of the story, then you got to answer the question, and he never did. But I think only Quentin Tarantino can do something like that and make it a brilliant movie still, right?
Exactly. So are you saying that you're going to reveal the orange box?
No. But what will happen is Joe will get some insights in Vegas, and then, the viewers will find out that Joe learns a little bit about what's in the box in Vegas.
Cool.
All right, brother, let's get out of here. I got another prop for another video. It's a 13-foot tall Jack Skellington. I got to go put him out before the sun gets down. Brother,
Awesome.
it's been a pleasure as usual, man. I can't wait for next week. And if you're listening now live, thank you so much for showing up. And if you're listening on Spotify or the other Spotify channels later, thank you as well. Let's get out of here, Joe. Cheers for the beers. Let's go. Joe, you're not done yet. I'm not done yet. What are you still doing here? Get out of the show's over. The podcast ended.